Hello, this is Ian. I am the founder of Prepped, and in this tutorial video, I'm going to introduce you to the dashboard. So I'm sure you're familiar with Prepped. We're a technology startup that's building dedicated software for competitive speech and debate teams. I'm a former debater myself. All that Prepped does is think about the problems that debaters and coaches have and then solves them through technology. So we're the only company that's really serious about debate technology and that's building it out for the community with this quality and this scale. So I'm sure you're familiar with our other applications, Library, Extemp, and Congress. This is the dashboard. So this is the application for debate team management and for managing your team account or your user account on Prepped. So it's one of our 4 applications. Right now I am on our website, which is prep.in/dashboard. So you can visit this site to learn about the different features and the functionality of the application, familiarize yourself with everything that it has to offer. But why don't we jump out of this app and let's just actually go straight into the dashboard. So if you want at any time, you can toggle over apps and check out the other applications that we offer. You can log in through here, but we're going to go ahead and just go to the dashboard itself. So the dashboard is available at dashboard.prep.in. And it runs like our other apps exclusively on Google Chrome. So you need to use the Chrome browser in order to access Prepped. In my case, I'm already logged in. This is the Yale University team account, so my alma mater. This is the account I've created for myself, and I just kind of use it internally for testing. The first page that you reach when you log into the dashboard is this page right here. It's the team page. So you have these 3 icons here on the left. You've got the team here. And it's going to give you a bit of tools, so I'll just kind of go through it. First, here at the top, well, at the very top, you've got sort of a map of your school and then your school information, but that's just more of like an aesthetic feature. Functionally, you've got these tools for adding new members to your team. So if you're a coach and you create a team account, you have 2 options for inviting people to join your team. The first is you can just manually send them an email invitation. So you just type in the email. You can separate multiple emails with a comma, and then you click invite, and emails are going to get sent, and you'll see this pending invitation list, right? So when the students join your team, the pending invitation clears. If they haven't joined, you can either rescind the invitation by clicking the X button, or you can resend it, and they'll get a fresh invitation. Probably easier to use though would be the team key. So this is a relatively new feature, and the way it works is you've got these 6 characters, right? Q, X, S, B, 9, 1, which I'll probably have to change after this video. But this is the team key for Yale University. And essentially the team key gets generated automatically. Every team has their own key. And just share it with your students. We encourage teachers to write it on the whiteboard for their class. And when students sign up, when they create an account, which they do by visiting dashboard.prep.in slash #signup, they'll have an option to enter a team key. So they'll click yes, I have a team key, they type this in, and they will automatically join your team. So if they have a team key and they enter it when they create their user account, you don't need to invite them, they're just going to join the team. You will get an email notification letting you as the coach know that someone joined. So if the team key leaks somehow and people are joining it, you'll be notified, and you can always remove them from your team. So invite new members through an email, invite them by sharing the team key. Beneath that, you actually have the member list itself. So these are all the students that are on the Yale University team. You've got different filter options, by first name alphabetical, last name alphabetical, most articles caught, right? Most recent login. So if you want to go ahead and delete a user, really simply just click this button, and that's going to go ahead and remove them from the team. You'll get a little confirmation message before you actually remove that member. Otherwise, you can access their full profile. Now, I'm not going to show you the profile quite yet. We'll actually come back to the profile in a minute after we do the analytics. But for now, just know this is how you get to their profiles. So this is the member list within the team section of the dashboard. You've also got settings here at the top. So the settings is going to give you a snapshot of how your account is configured, and you'll see how many articles you've saved, folder limits, highlights, members, etc. Down here it's your subscription status. So this is going to tell you when your account will expire, as well as when it was created. It's going to show you the article limit. So every team, whether you're a 5-person team or a 200-person team, every team has the same article limit, which is 61,500 articles. That's a lot of articles. Frankly, it's probably more than you need in order to be successful in extemp in Congress. But that's the hard limit, and it's just we have to put a limit somewhere just so that we can guarantee performance up to a certain volume of files. So that's the limit. You have a member limit, and now this is dependent on the subscription tier that you've purchased. So we sell our memberships in tiers of 5 members, so 5, 10, 15, etc. So in this case, I have a 20 member limit, and I've used 11 of the 20. You can go to your billing page from here. Then there's some settings. So every Monday morning, we send out a weekly activity email, which is going to recap how many articles have been filed, how many articles have been read, how many extemp rounds have been created. So there's one set of emails that goes exclusively to the coaches, and that's going to provide really detailed information. And then there's another set of emails that goes out to the entire team, which includes all the students. And it provides some fewer details, just so that we're not disclosing things that maybe might be kind of personal, or that maybe only a coach should have the privilege of knowing. But it's going to provide them information in terms of who was active. So the students can see who's contributing, who's really embracing the technology and trying to help the team succeed. So that goes out every Monday morning. So if you don't want to get those emails, you can just change the setting, and it's going to shut it off, and then you can turn them back on. So 2 more settings for the team. So we have this newsfeed settings, and essentially there's a new feature that we released in Prep. It's called the newsfeed. So I'm actually going to navigate to the library, and this is the newsfeed right here. So what we do is we're automatically filing articles from 21 different news sources, and they populate here in the newsfeed. So these are articles from all the different sources, and so you'll have access to somewhere around 40,000 articles when you first join Prepped, and they're all here in the newsfeed. Now I'll go back to the dashboard here. So you just click on the Prepped trophy icon to navigate through the different apps, and I'll go back to the settings page. So the thing with the newsfeed is, we have to sort of start purging those articles with some frequency, because otherwise you'll just end up with millions of articles, and Prepped can't handle that. But also we want to keep the articles fresh, right? Like the idea is you've got this guaranteed base of highly relevant and timely articles, and to the extent that you have to go through older files to construct some sort of an argument, those should be quality articles that the students have some familiarity with and they can find. So what we do is we automatically delete articles after they're 2 months old. So it's at 8 weeks. So once it's 2 months old, it's going to be out of the newsfeed. The exception is if you've saved an article from the newsfeed into a prepped application, then it will be saved long-term and it won't get deleted until you decide to delete it. But by default, we're only going to populate articles in both the offline app and also in the online applications by 6 weeks. You can adjust this. So let's say you don't want the kids to become overly reliant on the newsfeed because you really want to instill the habits and the discipline of filing and managing their evidence and their folders. Then maybe you make it tighter for 2 weeks so that they only have hyper timely and relevant stuff right now, and then everything that's older they have to rely on their research. The basic rule of thumb is that the shorter time frame, the fewer articles you will have, but the faster performance the newsfeed will offer, right? So the newsfeed will run faster searches and it will load faster and just perform better if you're only using articles that are 2 weeks old. If you want more articles, then the trade-off there is just it's going to be a little bit slower. So just be aware of that. I think 4 or 6 weeks is a really comfortable landing spot, but we give you the option of determining that for yourself. Then you have Congress settings. So in the Congress application, and I'll navigate there really quick as well, if you're using Congress, students can upload pre-written speeches or outlines to their bills. So I'm just going to navigate over to the dockets I've saved to my Congress account, and these are the bills. So this is a particular bill, and here are some speeches. So these are some speeches that I've uploaded to this bill. Whenever you're creating a speech, the students have the option of making it private. So if they make it private, that means that in this list you'll be able to see that the speech was created, or rather the other students on the team, your teammates will be able to see the speech was created, but they won't be able to actually access the content itself. So this is just in cases where you've got a team where the students are just kind of working independently on Congress. Some teams are very collaborative where they share all their resources. Other teams, not so much. We want to accommodate both cultures and styles, right? So the students can create private or public speeches. This one's a public speech created by myself. The reason we're talking about this, and I'm sorry I kind of went on a tangent, I'll go back to the dashboard here, is because some coaches might want to, disallow that, right? Like let's say you want to enforce a culture of collaboration and sharing evidence amongst the team. So you don't want the students to create private speeches. You can turn this off, which will disable that particular feature. So you have that tool as well. So this is some general settings around like the team status. We do have another set of settings which is more application specific. So you can find them here. A couple of options here, right? So you can delete articles. So this is basically a purge. So what you would do is you would select a date range, right? So starting several years ago up until let's say December or let's say December 1st, 2016, right? And then you can delete it. And so it's going to give you a confirmation message. And what it will do is it will purge all of the articles from all of your apps that fall within that time range, right? And so you can purge them or not purge them. The other option that you can turn on or off is to delete empty folders. So let's say you have a lot of folders in Extemp, and some of those folders really aren't going to be relevant or useful at this point. So simultaneously, while you're deleting old articles, you can also delete folders that become empty after the purge. So the only folders and subfolders that will remain are those that still have an article, at least one, after you've deleted them. So we encourage teams to do this periodically, maybe once a semester, definitely before the start of the school year. And kind of like the newsfeed, there's a trade-off here. If you delete the old articles that really aren't relevant, Prepped will start performing faster just because it has to process less data. Finally, you have reports. So you can download activity reports. So this is something that was requested by a coach actually, and he said, I'd really love to have an Excel spreadsheet rather than using the weekly activity emails or the analytics tool. I kind of want to see sort of like a structured report. So this is what we've built for the coach. What you do is you select a date range, right? So let's say I want to see the activity of my students in the month of February, right? So February 1st through the 28th, and then you download the report. It's going to generate a CSV file, which you can open up in Excel. So it's going to go ahead and open right here, and we'll give it a second to load. And so this is the information. So the way it's formatted is that it lists the students alphabetically. It's going to show you every single day of that month or that time period where an article was caught. So if the date isn't listed, like February 5th and 6th, the student didn't catch anything. But for all these days, they did catch something. And then this is the time. This is the total during that time period. So Aziz Ansari caught 31 articles in the month of February. Selena Gomez caught 34. Beyonce caught 40. Kawhi Leonard caught 33. So on and so forth, right? So that's how the activity report works. At the very bottom, you've got a total count. So the entire team collectively caught 303 articles during this time frame. So this is the activity reports. A lot of coaches offer grades based off the activity reports, and this is just a really useful tool for you to get the information you need very quickly and then do what you want with it as far as assigning grades and assignments. So I will leave Excel and go back to Prep. So these are the app settings again. So purging articles, deleting them, and then creating the activity reports. Something else to show off, like all of the Prepped apps, we have this menu that appears when you click on the user icon in the far right. You can access your individual settings from here. So if you are a student and you want to upload a profile picture, just click on what's the sort of generic anonymous picture image, and then click on settings, and you're going to be here. So you can change your name, you can provide a new email address, update your password, and then you can also change your profile picture. Really simple, just drag and drop or upload a file. you'll kind of create a little window in a preview area. You save it. You know how to do this. And then also the individual user. So this is a user setting page, right? If you want to disable the weekly email for yourself, right? So this is a user who's not making a decision on behalf of the team, but rather individually, you don't want to receive the activity email. You can disable that here as well. So you have some individual settings. Then we have the billing page. So this is the billing setup for the entire team, or if you are a Premium 1 user where you have a purchased individual user account, you can manage it through here as well. So again, it's going to specify what your account status is, how much it costs, the membership size, expiration date, how many articles have been filed into the different apps. Some payment history information is going to be here as well. Your payment method, right, which you select when you sign up. If you're joining Prep for the first time, you'll actually end up sort of navigating to one of these pages. So you'll, create a premium team for the first time where you select the number of users, the apps you're using, you identify referral source, right, team information, payment information, etc. Same thing with a Premium 1 account, although it's just going to be which apps do you want, how'd you hear about Prepped, and then information for the payment method because there isn't a team there. So Premium 1 is individual users, Premium Team is paid team accounts. From the billing page, you can also increase your membership limit and add more apps. So let's say you just purchased Extemp or you just purchased Congress, but then you want to add the second application. You can come here and add the second one, and you can also increase your member limit as well. So if your club grows and you have more students, you can increase it. You'll see here on the left that the price is adjusting, right? So this team has already paid for a 20 user team, so it's only going to charge me the remainder to go from a 20 user team to a 30 user team, and it's also going to prorate me based on the duration of my membership. So let's say your membership is expiring in 6 months, it's going to charge you the difference for a 6-month period of time. So you're not, we want to be fair to you in terms of how we price things, and so you're not going to be paying for time that you didn't effectively consume. If you want more details on how the article limits or the member limits work, you can just kind of hover over that. And then there's the payment method. So when it comes to upgrading your membership by either adding more apps and or increasing the member limit, the only acceptable payment method is a credit card. It's just, when you're creating a team account for the first time, we will accept invoices, either just a straight invoice or through a purchase order. But when it comes to upgrading, the size of the purchases is relatively small. I mean, it's almost always less than $100, and to be frank, we just don't want to deal with the hassle of the invoicing and collection process for small purchases like that. That said, so you will have to use a credit card. That said, we're more than happy to provide you a receipt. So if you do an upgrade and you need a receipt, email hello@prep.in. We'll generate a thorough receipt in QuickBooks, and we'll send it to you so you can submit that to your school for reimbursement. The last thing to point out here is renewing your membership. So the memberships are sold in 1-year cycles. So when you're coming up for renewal, you'll get a series of emails over during the weeks running up to that, alerting you and instructing you to come back into the dashboard. So you'll navigate to this renew membership button, and it's really straightforward. You're just going to reconfigure your settings. So in some cases you don't make any changes. In other cases, maybe your team got smaller or it got bigger. Maybe you want to add an app, right? And same thing, you select your payment method, and then you confirm, and that's it, right? So the renewal takes, a minute or less. So that's the billing page. So we've gone through the basic team page and some of the tools there. I've shown you the settings for the team. We've done the app settings. You've seen the user settings and the billing. You've obviously seen this menu, right? So you've got some resources here. There's a little tutorial when you first kind of join or create a team. You're kind of walk through some steps for inviting members, installing the Chrome extensions, watching the tutorial videos, etc. The last thing I want to show you is the analytics. So this is the analytics tab, and what we do is we visualize the activity that your team is doing. So this is the analytics for the entire team, and so it's going to show you the articles caught over a period of time. So let's say you want to look at just this past month, right? This is the filing activity that's occurred throughout the course of this past month. If you want to set a custom date range, you can do that as well, and it's going to update to show you, what what the counts of articles, folders, and highlights are. This is sort of like an at-a-glance visualization. At the very bottom, it's going to show you the publication. So it'll break down what percentage of articles are being filed from different publication sources. And so you can see where these are coming from, and get a sense that, like, hey, maybe this is too much Huffington Post and not enough, Politico, right? So that's the basic analytics, right? So it's article filing and catching activity plus analysis on the publications. You can of course see your own analytics. So this is going to be, as an individual user, what you've done collectively during the same period of time. So it's the exact same visualization. This line graph for filing activity, and then the chart for publications. But let's go back to the team page. So every user has their own profile, and as a function of their profile, you've got a lot of activity here. So this right here is what we just saw in terms of filing activity over a certain period of time. So articles caught, the publication sources. But there are other features that we've started to visualize in the dashboard. So you can see what this specific student or user has done as far as finding specific articles, right? So here's an article. You can click on it. It's going to open up the library in a new tab, and it will load the article. And in this case, this is a PDF file that I uploaded. So we only load, I think, maybe like 10 or so at a time. So if you want to scroll through, you can see more. Also, just to point out, you can basically replicate that experience in the library. So if you go into the article feed for the library, open up the filters, and then look at what a specific contributor has done, you'll be able to see the same list, right? So these are all the articles that I have uploaded. It's the same list that you have from over here. Beyond that, you have extemp round activity. So this is something that is really cool. So what we do is we actually save the history of every single round that students create in extemp. This includes both online and offline rounds. And so it'll display the topic question, and then if you click on this down button, it'll expand, and it'll then show you the title of all the articles the student added to the round, what the publication sources were, and when those articles were published. So when your students are delivering practice speeches or competing at tournaments, you'll actually be able to see specifically what each round was, and it's going to create this lifetime history of rounds that your students have. So we released this feature a few months ago, late 2016. I could only imagine if you're a freshman and you're starting with Prepped and you're using Prepped all 4 years, what it would be like to sort of go back in time and look at the first question you had when you were a novice at your first tournament, right? I think that'd be kind of cool. A quick note on the offline app. So the way we get the information from the offline app is when you're competing offline, we actually save the information locally to the offline app in the background, and then the next time the user synchronizes, we share that information to Prepped, and then it populates. So if your students are competing and they're in extemp rounds and they're using Prepped, then just tell them to synchronize after the tournament, right? Like it could be that Sunday or that Monday, and this information will populate. Finally, you have reading activities. So one of the features that we have is in Prepped, you can actually mark articles as read. So I just bounced back to the library here. At the very bottom, you have this mark as read button. So you click on that, and what students do, what's happening is there are 5 different comprehension exercises that we've developed, and Prepped will randomly present one of them. In this case, it's asking you to sort of analyze an argument in the article. So you would submit a claim, a warrant, an impact, and then provide a potential rebuttal. And once you complete those fields, you mark it as read, and the students will get credit for having read that article. So you'll see here it says marked as read on March 1st. It'll go back. You can't edit it once you've submitted it, but you can see what you've submitted. And then within the dashboard, you've got all that information. So I'd have to reload the app, but basically you just click on this, you hover over, and you can actually go to the article itself. So it loads, or you hover over and you click Show Answer, and then it's going to show you what the exercise was, right? Identify, claim, warrant, impact, write a brief summary of this article, and then it's going to show you the responses of the student. So there are a number of coaches that have experimented with this, and they're starting to assign reading activity. So in addition to filing, say, 50 articles a week, they also have to read 10 articles, which is a pretty healthy amount. That comes out to 10 articles being caught a day, and then 2 of those being read. And so they use this to keep track of that. And the weekly activity emails will also communicate both the reading activity and the extemp round activity. So this is the profile. I'll kind of close out of this and just take a step back. We have a lot of really exciting plans for this application. So this is actually the oldest application that we're still using. At the start of the 2016-2017 school year, we released a completely new version of Prep. It's called Generation 3. So the library is a Generation 3 application. So is Extemp, so is Congress. So you'll see just kind of how the aesthetic pattern of these Generation 3 apps. The dashboard has a different aesthetic pattern. This is Generation 2. So what we did is we just reconfigured the backend to work with this new Generation 3 data environment. That was just purely as a matter of prioritization. We had to kind of really build everything else up. But a new initiative we're taking on is that we are going to rebuild the dashboard from scratch. It's going to be a native Generation 3 application. So it's going to have that clean, modern aesthetic that the rest of Prep enjoys. It's going to be higher performing. And we're also taking this as an opportunity to just reimagine the kind of functionality that coaches and students will need. So we want to provide much richer analytics in a much more accessible way. We want to provide richer settings both for users and for teams. For example, one of the things that we plan on building out is you'll see all the students are labeled as novice, right? So we want to actually introduce roles and permissions so that you have your head coach and then other coaches and then captains, varsity, novices, and based on the role of the user, they have different permissions. So maybe novices can't delete articles, for example. Captains can, look at private speeches, or they can, see the reading activity of students, for example. So we really want to bring out the education technology features and just create really powerful tools around that. And we also want to help you manage your team. So we're exploring some tools that we think that operationally or mechanically can be really useful for you as far as team management is concerned. So this is something that we will start working on quite soon, later in the spring semester, and we hope to deliver a new dashboard application early in the fall semester. Between now and then, we definitely value and appreciate your feedback. So if you have any thoughts in terms of how we can improve the dashboard, if there's anything you'd like to see, if there's some issues or frustrations or points of confusion, or maybe there's something that seems broken, please communicate it to us. We really love having these conversations. You can reach me and the rest of the Prep team by emailing hello@prepped.in. So provide your feedback, and we will definitely listen to it and take it into account, and we will work hard to build solutions for you very soon. We are building Prep for you, for the coaches, for the students, and we want this to be a really powerful, really easy, and really rich and beautiful technology that your team just loves and depends on. That's our goal. With your help, we will definitely achieve that. I'm going to sign off now. We've pretty much covered the dashboard end to end. If you have more questions, definitely visit our help center, which is help.prep.in. And again, email hello@prep.in. Thank you.